because Ben Jones is in the house. A round of applause for the big man. It can't be a round of applause if I'm the only one clapping, Robert. Let's make this seem a little more dramatic. You got Ben Jones out here golf clapping for himself. That's the level of production that we aspire to around here. My guy, it's great to see you.
It's good to be here. Good seeing you, Buck.
Man, when'd you get back into town? Because I know you've been taking some time away. Obviously, everything that's gone on in your life since the season ended. A lot of things, I imagine, that come to a very, very quick halt, and then you just get some time to yourself. When'd you get back?
Yeah, it was weird. Never really been injured ever. I went 19 years with not missing a game really, and getting put on IR this year. It just threw me for a wrench. It was right around Christmas. I'm used to coming in, having Christmas morning with my family and kids, and going back to work. So it was weird. Spending time at home with the family, but it was good. I kind of got to clear my head now. I'm just trying to get healthy. I've had shoulder and elbow surgery this off season. And just mentally, I just want to get healthy and see what happens from there.
Okay, you have spent the last 6 years BSing me. Okay, do you understand me? You cannot come in here on the day when I'm finally going to get to talk to the real Ben Jones for the first time in 6 years, and tell me that you haven't been injured in 19 years. Ben, your injuries are famous at this point. You cannot tell me that you haven't been injured until this season when I have seen you, when I know all the different things that you have done across your football career. Your definition of injured is not the common man's definition, my friend.
Yeah, injured it happens. You're always injured in football. It's when I can't play.
Yeah.
I've had broken hands, torn knees. The worst, I'm telling you, I talked to one of my buddies the other day when my collarbone that connects to your sternum popped out and was stuck in my throat. And I'll come to the sideline mid-game, and I was throwing up there like, is he sick? I'm like, no, my collarbone's poking me in the back of the throat. And we had to put it back in because I had to go back in and play.
Ben, wait. Wait. What game? What year was this?
It was either, I think it was 16.
Okay.
Versus Houston. It was at the end of the season.
Oh, so there was no way they were getting you to come out of that game? No chance. Because that was your first. Would that have been the first game against the Texans since you came over here?
We were beating them, and it was at the end of the game. I lost to them at their place already, but I wanted to beat them at home. And it was like right there by the red zone. We were winning at the end of the game. My arm gets caught, and I remember it popping out. I remember coming to the sideline. I'm like, what is this? And they were like, he's throwing up. We don't know what's going on. I was like, no, this bone is in my throat. So we got it back in.
Oh, my God.
Put a little.
The noise.
Duct tape. I call it duct tape. It's whatever that black tape is.
At this point.
It's medical duct tape for the NFL world. And went back in there, and every snap, it'd pop out. So that next week, I had one more game after that. I think I had one game left. So all week at practice, just hand the ball to Marcus. I would block. Then in the game,
we're back, baby.
We're back in to finish it out.
All right. So I think there's a lot of different things that people are curious about from your career. And by the way, if you want to talk to Ben Jones, 615-737-1045, we'd be happy to take some calls. Ben, I asked Ben before we did this because I love you all, but you're insane. So let's break him in gently. A few first time callers, long time listeners type of deal. But your career, like you said, that has been a hallmark of it. And by the way, career not done, to the best of my knowledge. Like, just because you're not playing here next year does not mean that you're not playing next year, correct?
Correct. That's what I'm going through right now. I'm trying to find the best fit for me and my family, and I want to win a championship. Yeah. And wherever I feel that's where I can do it, that's what I'm going to join on.
So let's get to that here in just a second. But like, to what I guess creates – and you may not have a good answer for this yourself necessarily, Ben, but that's a unique kind of mindset that a person has to have that very, very few people, even in your profession, where you're all insane people, as far as I'm concerned, from my vantage point in the press box where I'm very safe with my coffee and maybe a brownie at halftime or something like that. What about like the way that you grew up, or like who instilled that thing in you? Because I have to imagine that there are some formative moments that lead a person to a place where, yeah, the collarbone in my neck, in my throat, that's fine. Just pop it in because I really want to kick this team's ass this week.
Yeah, I think it comes down to I was raised on a farm with my dad passed when I was 10. So my brother, my mom, it was just the way of life. No matter what, you got up, you finished the job. And I remember I used to give my brother a hard time back in Little League. He would cry if he got hit by a baseball or anything. And my mom's like, if I'm not carrying you to the emergency room, you better get up or you're done playing. Like, I cracked my skull playing at a high school baseball game, walking, got hit with a baseball bat. And I walked out to my mom. I was crying. She's like, hey, what did you say? She thought I said I got hit in the back.
Yeah.
I told her I got hit with a bat. She was like, sit down and take some deep breaths.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah, so sit there, everything's good, then get sick, then she rushed me to the emergency room. Let alone 2 weeks before that, I'd cut my neck from ear to ear. I hit a barbed wire fence on a bicycle. So I'm super glued up from that because I didn't want to miss a baseball game in 9 and 10-year-olds. My brother's like, hey, if you don't catch tonight, I can't pitch because if I caught, I'm the only one who could catch my older brother. He was like, I need you to catch. I'm like, well, up, Mom, super glue me up.
Yeah.
We'll go out there and win this All-Stars, and we go to All-Stars. So Mom cleaned it, super glued me up, and went on about it. I think it kind of started there. And for me, it's just not letting down my brothers. Like, if I can physically go out there and play, I'm going to play, no matter what the cause is. Even if it's worse in the long end, I'm going to play and figure it out later.
It's weird for me to say former Titan center Ben Jones is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. I'm paying $1 every time I say Titan center Ben Jones today on the air. I don't know if you've caught any of the show today, but I'm down, I think, about 3 at this point. Is that weird to hear yet?
Yeah, it is. Because playing that many years, I've been that guy no matter what. I was always in the lineup. I always got up. And that's when when we talk about it, I'm like, if I ever started a game, I've never not finished anything. So no matter what injury I've had in the game, I finished it. And a lot of games I probably shouldn't have finished that hurt me later on, but that's one of my things. I'm going to get up and I'm going to finish no matter what.
I mean, it's always, I think, kind of uncomfortable when people are complimenting you, saying nice things about you to your face or things like that. It's, I don't know that people necessarily know how to respond in those moments, but like people love you for this stuff, Ben. Like, and understandably so, because it's set in a culture of ungodly tough dudes to be among the toughest, if not the toughest in a locker room. That's not an easy accomplishment. And I think so much of what this team has been during your time here, I mean, you're probably, I don't think probably is even a debate at this point. You are the best free agent signing that this team had under John, because of your availability, because of the position that you play and how important that is for everything that you guys do. I don't know. There's obviously been a ton of tributes from your teammates here and obviously dudes who you were with in Houston and in different spots now across the league, because you guys tend to like scatter to the winds after a certain while, Wow. But, I mean, how does that kind of stuff hit you? Because on the one hand, I have to imagine that's hugely gratifying, but I'm also self-involved, Ben. So like that would hit me different than it probably hits a person like you. That just seems like, you treat it, at least from our perspective, as yeah, that's just what I do.
Yeah, they brought me here to bring a mindset, to be a certain guy, and that's what I wanted. That's why I came here. I wanted to change the culture, because I went from being in first place in Houston, coming to the team who was going to have the first pick in the draft. And I was like, we got to change some things. And stepping into that room and seeing, hey, this is a young bunch of guys. I was going to be the oldest guy in the room in year 5. And I was like, hey, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to practice every single day, no matter if you give me days off, no matter how I feel on Mondays after the game, I'm going to be there. And a lot of days I probably shouldn't have practiced, but I taped up the MCL when it was flopping around, couldn't stand up, and hey.
Just the visual of an MCL flopping around.
Yeah, so like when guys saw me going out to practice that way, not a game, but to practice, it's like, hey, this guy wants to win. So when somebody else is milking an injury, I'm like, dude, you know what I'm going through, and you're out here wanting to take off because you got a stomach ache? Go get an IV. Let's go to practice. So I try to hold everybody accountable, and that was one of my big roles. And like, hey, the older you got, I'm like, hey, this guy's played 10,000 snaps in the league, and he's still practicing every day. Like, you got to have that mindset to help the young guys, because everybody wants to get treated like a veteran. But my veteran was, hey, it comes with respect behind it.
There are people loading up the phone lines, and all it says is "Thank you, Ben." Across this is. I'm trying not to like. You've come in here. I'm excited to have a fun hour with you, and I feel like I don't want to turn this into like some kind of career eulogy. Like I feel like, did it kind of feel that way when they officially announced the transaction?
Because people didn't know because they knew I've had the concussions. That's something you can't really play through. Vrabel takes very serious, and that's what he pretty much was like. Hey,
thank God for that, by the way.
Love Vrabel to death. He's one of my favorite people. He's so close with me and my family. You got to be close when you can hit him with a pie and cottage cheese and overnight oats in the face on his birthday and not fight you.
When you dumped an entire thing of baby powder on his head at training camp, I thought, like, I've been telling Mike that this job is aging him like a president for a couple of years because he's definitely a hell of a lot, and maybe, a variety of different things. But when I saw him, I didn't see you hit him with the thing of baby powder until he got closer, and he's just covered in the stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of people Mike would swing at.
Yeah, but they know. Like, he knows I'm only going to do it on his birthday. And if you catch me, it's, hey, I'm not going to do it no more. But you got to catch me.
You got to catch it.
The first time when I sat there in his office and looked him face to face and fake eating cottage cheese until I could flip it over in my hand and hold the plate and be like, hey, did you drop your phone? He looks down. I just
no
in his face when he first got here. And he was like, it was the middle of camp. I think Brady was coming here. His stress level was through the roof with
just
Bill and
hyper
Brady.
Tense.
And I hammered him right on his birthday. And he was like, he didn't even know what hit him. He just had to laugh. Then he knew from then on. Like,
was that his first training camp? Like here?
It was either that was the first year I hit him was with the cottage cheese. Then it went overnight oats.
Oh, and he was all about like showing up for Tom and Bill coming in, and him and John both are probably on a different level.
He hadn't slept in 4 days. He's trying to make sure the schedule's right so him and Bill aren't fighting out there.
Yeah.
Then I think everybody knew anybody could be gotten when I hit J-Rob that day, and they were like, "Oh, he hit J-Rob."
Yeah, John's a different kind of like entity out there.
But that speaks for my relationships I have with the guys in the building. I put in time, even in the off season. Like a normal day for me in the off season, I'd be there from 8 to 12.
Yeah.
And the only people who are there are equipment guys, a couple trainers. So I would spend time in everybody's office. I'd go up to Ryan Calden's office. I'd go sit in J-Rob's office. Like, who are the guys we looking at? Because I want to know who was playing beside me. Who are we looking at? Because I would look at them like, how about this guy? And stuff like that. So I wanted to know who around the league could fit our culture, who was going to sit in that O-line room with me, because I wanted to win a championship.
That's not necessarily common. And by the way, not a lot of people would, I feel like, and just knowing this has been the organization that I've covered my entire career, so I can't speak to other places, but like I don't feel like that's an allowance that's made for a lot of players.
Right. It's earned. And they know how much this organization, how much football and everything means to me. Like getting there at the crack of dawn during the season, staying through whenever, running all the run game meetings, running all the stuff by myself in my room. Like, it wasn't just, hey, I sit in a room and listen to our coach. Like, I had initiative to, hey, we're trying to win. We're going to fix it our way. Off days, bringing in the whole line, watching tape, and like, hey, it comes a lot better from a veteran than a coach sometimes. Like, hearing mistakes, like, hey, this is getting us beat. Like, we got to fix this. And you're able to fix it quicker when it's coming from a veteran than a coach sometimes. He's
former Titan center Ben Jones. He's dumb enough to come hang out in studio with us for an hour today, which makes me happy because I've really enjoyed working with you. I love that I'm getting to see you outside of work because I don't know, it feels like things can be super rigid throughout the course of a season because nobody's really sleeping very well.
Exactly.
And everybody's on high alert, whether you've won a game or you've lost a game or whatever the case may be. So be able to hang out like this is fun. We're going to take some phone calls for Ben Jones here in just a second. We'll talk to him about that point that he's just made, the idea of kind of having input on the players that the Titans were having and kind of how that's come into play with the teams that we've seen over the last couple of years. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. I'm Buck Rising. He's Ben Jones. This is 104.